Have you ever seen an animal change someone's life? It's not just affection or company. Sometimes it's like they know something we can't explain. This story starts with a lioness, a frail cub, and a woman who never saw it coming. The smell of dry earth hung over Emily Jensen's farm, and the night's silence was broken only by distant frogs croaking. But one night, something incredible happened. Can you believe a wild lioness would knock on your door for help? Emily, a retired vet, lived in a simple house surrounded by golden fields. She'd seen it all: lost dogs, injured birds, even a snake in the yard. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for what she found on her porch. Picture this: you open the door and come face to face with a lioness, her eyes gleaming in the dark, holding a cub that's barely breathing. What would you do? Emily's heart raced, but something in the Dziewczyna's eyes, a calm, almost sacred stillness, made her pause. It was like the universe had sent a message. This isn't just a rescue story. It's about trust, memory, and a bond that time can't erase. Years ago, Emily cared for a lioness named Zara. Could it be her? And why, after so long, did she return? If you love stories that mix emotion, courage, and a touch of miracle, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Let's dive into this journey, and I promise, what comes next will move you. But first, how would Emily handle such an unexpected visitor? Let's find out. Moonlight cast long shadows on Emily's porch, and the air carried a faint scent of damp grass. She was in the kitchen, stirring a mug of tea, when she heard a low sound, almost a whimper. A stray dog, she thought, used to animals showing up at the farm. But when she opened the door, her heart nearly stopped. A massive lioness stood there, a scrawny cub dangling from her jaws. The lioness's eyes shone, not with threat, but with a quiet plea. Ever felt an animal look at you like it's begging for help? Emily couldn't breathe, but she didn't run. Something about the scene felt right. The lioness, her fur dusty, gently set the cub on the ground. The little one barely moved, its ribs visible under thin skin. Emily noticed the heavy silence. No. Crickets chirped as if nature held its breath. She wanted to call someone, but her feet felt glued. "Easy, girl," she whispered, more to herself. The lioness stepped back, not growling, just watching. It was pure trust, like she knew Emily was the one. Who'd think a wild animal could act like that? Emily crouched, heart pounding, and checked the cub. It trembled, eyes half closed. She knew every second counted, but she also felt the weight of the lioness's gaze. "You came for a reason, didn't you?" she murmured, almost like a prayer. The wind blew, stirring fine dust that danced in the porch light. Emily grabbed her phone but hesitated. Calling for help might scare the lioness. What if she attacked? Or worse, what if she fled, leaving the cub behind? Think about it. What would you do in her shoes? But then the lioness did something no one expected. She lay down, right there, as if saying, "I trust you." Emily felt a shiver, like fate had knocked on her door. If this story's already got you, hit that like and subscribe to follow. Because now came the tense part. How to save that cub without breaking the mother's trust. Emily's porch felt like a stage under the dim bulb's glow. The scent of wet wood mixed with the warmth radiating from the lioness, lying there like a statue. She didn't growl or bare her teeth. She just watched, her eyes holding a whole story. Emily, still crouched near the cub, felt the weight of that trust. Can you believe it? She thought, almost laughing from nerves. The lioness had placed the cub there and stepped back, like handing over a fragile gift. But time was slipping, and the little one needed help. Fast. The cub whimpered softly, a sound that pierced the heart. Emily touched it gently, feeling its hot, dry skin. "It's dehydrated," she muttered, her vet instincts kicking in. The wind carried a faint rustle of leaves, like the night whispering, "Hurry, Emily." She grabbed her phone and called the rescue team, keeping her voice low to not spook the lioness. "There's a lioness on my porch. No, she's not attacking. She brought a sick cub." Silence on the line. "For real?" the operator asked. "For real," But how do you explain a lioness asking for help? While waiting, Emily studied the lioness. She didn't move, but her eyes tracked every motion. It was motherhood, raw and wordless love. Ever seen an animal do something so human? Emily's throat tightened. "You trust me, don't you?" she whispered, more to the lioness than herself. The lioness let out a deep sound, almost a sigh, and stayed still. It was like she said, "Do what you need to." Stop for a second and picture it, a wild beast trusting like that. Isn't that a miracle? But then light sliced through the dark. The crunch of tires on dirt signaled the rescue team. Emily glanced at the lioness, heart racing. Would she stay calm with strangers? Round? If this story's gripping you, hit that like and subscribe to see what's next. Because the team's arrival was about to shake things up, and not how Emily expected. The Jeep's rumble echoed down the dirt road, and dust rose like a curtain under the headlights. Emily's heart clenched. The air felt cool, tinged with the smell of engine oil from the vehicle pulling up. The lioness, still on the porch, lifted her head, ears alert. But amazingly, she didn't move. Can you believe that kind of calm? Emily thought, cradling the cub carefully. The rescue team, 3 men with flashlights and a gearbox, climbed out, eyes wide. Who wouldn't be stunned seeing a lioness? So peaceful. "That's her?" asked the leader, a guy named Tom, pointing at the lioness. Emily nodded. The cub nestled in her arms. "Don't make noise," she urged, her voice steady despite the nerves. The cub shivered, and every second felt like forever. Tom edged closer but froze when the lioness let out a low rumble. Not a threat, more like a warning. "Careful with my baby." Emily shivered. That mother's empathy hit hard. Ever seen an animal protect someone with such love? The rescue guys whispered, shocked. "Never seen a lioness act like this," one said, adjusting his flashlight. They wanted to sedate her for safety, but Emily shook her head. "She brought the cub to me. She trusts us." Tom hesitated but saw the truth in her eyes. The rescue started there, with the lioness watching every move. The clink of gear sounded too loud in the quiet night. Take a moment and feel it. A wild beast letting humans care for her cub. Doesn't it give you chills? But then the cub let out a faint whimper and everyone froze. Time was running out. Emily looked at the lioness, almost asking permission. Would she understand what came next? The team had to move fast, but one wrong step could change everything. If this story's pulling you in, hit that like and subscribe for the next part. Because what Emily did next would take more than courage. It would take heart. The flashlight's beams danced across the porch, and the air held a faint scent of burnt grass carried by the breeze. Emily held the cub, feeling its weak heartbeat against her hands. The lioness, still lying down, watched with eyes that seemed to read souls. Tom, the rescue leader, gripped a tranquilizer gun, his finger restless. "It's protocol, Emily." "She's wild." But Emily shook her head, firm. "She didn't come here to attack, trust me." Can you believe that kind of guts? It was like she and the lioness had a secret pact. The men wavered, their boots scraping the wooden floor, echoing. In the night, Emily glanced at the lioness, seeking a sign. The beast let out a long, almost human sigh and lowered her head. It was pure trust, a gesture saying, "Do what you must." Emily felt warmth in her chest, like the universe gave a nod. "Don't use that," she told Tom, pointing at the gun. "She brought the cub because she knew I'd help." Who hasn't? Felt an animal understand them more than anyone else? Tom frowned but stowed the gun. "Your call," he muttered, half in awe, half uneasy. The team started setting up a makeshift stretcher for the cub, every move careful not to startle the lioness. The sharp smell of antiseptic from the gear mingled with the air, and Emily held the cub closer, whispering, "It'll be okay." The lioness kept her eyes on her, as if approving. Pause for a second and imagine. A woman convincing armed men to trust a wild beast. Doesn't it take your breath away? But then, the cub gave a weaker whimper, almost a whisper. Time was pressing, and Emily knew the next step was critical. Would the lioness still trust them if they took her baby? If this story's moving you, hit that like and subscribe for what's coming, because the cub's condition was worse than they thought, and every minute mattered. The Jeep growled softly as it carried the cub to the vet center, and the smell of hot dust clung to Emily's clothes. She held the little one in her lap, wrapped in a blanket, feeling its fragile body tremble. The Lioness stayed on the porch, eyes locked on the vanishing car. "Can you believe she let us take him?" Emily whispered to Tom, who drove with a furrowed brow. The cub barely stirred, each breath a thread of hope. Its survival hung by a thread, and Emily knew it. At the center, Dr. Mason Reynolds waited, his coat smelling of sanitizer. The exam room's cold light cast harsh shadows, and a monitor's beep cut the silence. Mason checked the cub quickly, his fingers swift but his face grim. "Dehydrated, high fever, bad infection," he said, grabbing syringes and tubes. Emily clutched the blanket, heart tight. "Will he make it?" she asked, voice fading. Mason didn't answer right away, and that hurt more than words. Ever felt the weight of waiting for a miracle? Care began at once. IV fluids, antibiotics, oxygen. Emily stayed by the cub, speaking softly as if it could understand. "You're strong, little guy. Your mom believes in you." The hum of a fan mixed with the click of Mason's tools. Each drip of fluid felt like a fight for life. Stop for a moment and feel it. A tiny creature so fragile, with humans giving everything to save it. Doesn't it feel like the world holds its breath for him? But then, the monitor beeped faster. Mason glanced at Emily, eyes tense. "He's getting worse," he said, short and sharp. The cub needed more than medicine, it needed a miracle. Emily thought of the Lioness waiting outside. Would she sense if something went wrong? If this story's touching you, hit that like and subscribe to keep up, because what came next would test everyone's strength. The exam room smelled of alcohol and metal, and the monitor's hum seemed to tick like a clock. Emily stood by the cub, the blanket still warm in her hands, as Dr. Mason gave another shot. Suddenly, he paused, frowning. "There's a microchip here," he said, pointing to a blinking scanner. Emily blinked, surprised. "A microchip in this cub?" The air grew heavy, like an old memory lingered. Ever felt the past knock on your door unannounced? Mason ran the scanner over the cub's neck and it beeped. He read the screen, eyes. "Woodening, this cub belongs to a lioness named Zara, registered over 10 years ago." The name hit Emily like a bolt. Zara, the lioness she cared for as a vet, an orphaned cub she bottle-fed. "No way," she whispered, heart racing. The sound of a dripping faucet in the corner seemed to amplify the moment. Zara, now a mother, had come back to her. It was connection, pure and timeless. Emily recalled days with Zara, her clumsy play, the way she rubbed her head on Emily's leg. "Can you believe she found me?" she said to Mason, laughing and crying at once. He shook, his head stunned. "That's more than instinct, it's memory." The lioness on the porch wasn't a stranger, she was family. Emily felt warmth in her chest, like the universe had planned this reunion. Who hasn't dreamed of a bond that beats years and distance? But then Mason turned back to the cub, face serious. The microchip brought hope, but the infection was still bad. "Zara trusted you, Emily. Now it's up to us." She nodded, eyeing the cub. Would he inherit his mother's strength? Take a second and feel it. A lioness remembering an old love, asking for help. Isn't that magic? If this story's pulling you in, hit that like and subscribe. Because what Zara did next would stir everyone. The sky outside was lightening, painting the hills pink around the vet center. The air carried a faint dew scent, but inside Emily felt only the weight of waiting. Zara, the lioness, hadn't left Emily's porch. Neighbors said she stayed there, lying like a patient guardian. "Can you believe that kind of loyalty?" Emily said to Mason, watching the cub in the incubator. The monitor's beep was steady but weak. Zara trusted her, and that bond seemed to hold the whole world. Emily returned to the farm at dawn, her sneakers crunching on the dirt in the stillness. Seeing Zara, her heart tightened. The lioness lifted her head, golden eyes fixed on her. No growl, just deep calm, like she knew Emily was fighting for her cub. "You're waiting, aren't you?" she murmured, throat tight. She sat a few yards, away, respecting the lioness's space. The wind swayed the dry grass, and for a moment, it felt like time slipped back to when Zara was just a playful cub. Who hasn't felt an animal bring the past alive? Days passed with no sign of Zara leaving. Neighbors brought food, but she barely touched it. "It's like she knows she needs to stay strong for her cub," one said, amazed. Emily felt the weight of that connection. Zara wasn't just a mother, she was a symbol of hope, of ties even the jungle couldn't break. Pause for a moment and picture it. A lioness waiting days, trusting someone she loved years ago. Doesn't that hit you deep? But then, a call from Mason shifted the mood. "Emily, the cub's responding, but it's still early." His voice shook, mixing relief and fear. Emily looked at Zara, who seemed to sense something in the air. Would the lioness know her baby was fighting? If this story's moving you, hit that like and subscribe for what's next, because the next step would reveal an even stronger bond. The sun warmed Emily's porch, and the air carried a sweet scent of wildflowers mixed with hot earth. Zara was still there, lying like a queen, eyes half closed but always alert. Emily spent hours with her, speaking softly, like sharing secrets with an old friend. "Can you believe she gets every word?" she thought, brushing the ground with her fingertips. The lioness sometimes let out a soft rumble, almost a nod. But the weight weighed heavy, and Emily's heart ached with each day without cub news. One afternoon, Mason called with an idea. "Let's try something," he said, voice bright. He suggested recording Emily talking and playing it for Zara. It might calm her, show you're with her. Emily found it odd but agreed. She recorded a simple message. "Zara, your baby's fighting. Stay strong, okay?" The recorder's hiss sounded frail against the lioness's might. At the vet center, a volunteer took the audio to the fence where Zara sometimes roamed. When Emily's voice rang out, Zara froze. She raised her head, eyes gleaming, and let out a chuff, a sound of trust, pure recognition. Ever seen an animal respond like it understands everything? The volunteer was stunned, nearly dropping the phone. "She knows it's you, Emily." Word spread, and even neighbors gathered, awestruck. The birdsong seemed louder, like it celebrated the bond. Emily, hearing this, laughed and cried. "That rascal never forgot me," she said, chest warm. Take a moment and feel it. A lioness hearing the voice of someone she loves, answering with her heart. Doesn't that make you believe in miracles? But then Mason called again. "The cub's better, Emily. It might be time to bring him back." Her heart raced. Would Zara accept her cub after so long? If this story's touching you, hit that like and subscribe to follow along. Because the reunion was about to shake everyone. The sky was clear, and the air carried a faint eucalyptus scent from the fields. At the vet center, the cub, now stronger, wiggled its paws in the incubator. Emily watched, her heart light for the first time in days. The monitor's beep was steady, a rhythm of life. "You're a fighter, aren't you?" she whispered, chuckling at how he tried to nibble the blanket. Dr. Mason smiled. He's ready to go back. But Emily felt a chill. Would Zara recognize her baby? Ever imagined a reunion that feels like it holds the world? The plan was simple. Take the cub to the farm and let Zara approach. Emily held the transport crate, the plastic warm under her fingers, as the jeep jostled down the road. The cub mewed softly, like it knew something big was coming. When they arrived, Zara was there on the porch, her fur gleaming in the sun. She stood, eyes locked on the crate. Silence fell, heavy, broken only by an insect's buzz. Emily opened the crate door carefully, heart pounding. The cub stumbled out, wobbly but alive. Zara took a step, then another, her nose twitching. It was a mother's care, pure and fierce. Zara sniffed the cub, eyes shining. Then with a gentle rumble, she licked his tiny head, pulling him close. The cub answered with a hoarse mew, nuzzling into her. Emily wiped a tear, laughing. Can you believe a love like that? Mason and the volunteers standing there just shook their heads, speechless. The wind blew, carrying the scent of wet earth, as if nature cheered. Take a second and feel it, a mother and her baby together again after so much struggle. Doesn't it warm your heart? But then, Emily looked at Zara, who seemed grateful but ready to move on. The reunion was just the start of a new journey. What would this lioness do now? If this story's got you hooked, hit that like and subscribe for the end, because the farewell was about to be as powerful as it all. The sun sank slowly, painting the sky orange and gold. The air at Emily's farm smelled of dry grass, mixed with the warmth rising from the earth. Zara sat on the porch, her cub nestled between her paws, grooming him with care. Emily watched from a distance, her heart full but with a quiet ache. Can you believe it's time? She thought as crickets began to fill the night. Zara looked at her, eyes shining as if to say, "Thank you." It was a bond that needed no words, as strong as nature itself. The rescue team came to check, the cub confirming he was fit to return to the wild. "Zara knows what she's doing," Mason said, scratching his beard. But everyone there, Emily, the neighbors, even the rescue guys, felt something bigger. Experts tried to explain. Maternal instinct, sharp memory. But to those who saw it, it was more. It was a miracle, a connection that defied logic. Emily smiled, recalling the nights she fed Zara as a cub. "You were always special, weren't you?" she whispered, voice thick. Who hasn't felt an animal touch their soul? The next morning, Zara stood, the cub trotting behind. She paused, at the field's edge, looking back at Emily one last time. The wind stirred, lifting dry leaves that danced in the air. Then, with a low rumble, Zara walked on, her cub bouncing beside her. Emily stood there, watching them fade into the trees. The silence returned, but it felt different, full of peace. Take a moment and feel it. A lioness and her baby heading home, carrying a piece of the hearts that helped them. Isn't that the kind of thing that stays with you forever? But then, Emily pulled out her phone and looked at a photo she'd taken of Zara. She knew this story wasn't over. What else did nature have in store for her? If this story moved you, hit that like and subscribe for more like it, because what came next was just the start of something bigger. Sometimes the greatest. Teachers have 4 legs. The story of Emily, Zara, and the cub isn't just about a rescue. It's about trust, memory, and bonds that span years and jungles. The scent of wet earth at Emily's farm still seems to carry that moment, when a lioness looked into her eyes and said without words, "I know you'll help." Can you explain a bond like that? Scientists talk of instinct, biologists cite memory, but those who saw it know. It was love, raw and real, like nature itself. This journey makes you think. Have you ever had an animal that seemed to read your soul? A dog that lay in your lap on a bad day? A cat that looked at you like it knew everything? Zara and Emily show that these bonds aren't just movie stuff. They're real, deep, and they change us. The cub, now running free with his mom, is proof of that. And Emily? She keeps Zara's photo on her phone, a reminder that the world is bigger and more magical than we think. If this story warmed your heart, hit that like and subscribe. For more moments like this, and there's more. The next video YouTube suggests will take you to another animal adventure that'll move you just as much. Don't miss it. Before you go, share in the comments. Have you had an animal that changed your life? Maybe a furry friend that taught you about loyalty, or a wild creature that crossed your path like a sign. Tell us your story, because everyone makes the world brighter. Zara and her cub returned to the wild, but they left a lesson. Sometimes trusting is the bravest thing you can do. And who knows, maybe nature will bring Emily and Zara back together. A new chapter only time can write. Until then, let's keep listening to the animals. They always have something to teach.